So the last of my customs that I have to show you is one that I didn't actually intend to make until I started watching the Ice Warriors, which is the first story that features the Ice Warriors. And I suddenly realised, oh, I have an Ice Warrior figure. Wouldn't it be great if I had an Ice Lord to go with it? So I looked around and thought, ooh, have I got any figures that would do as a great base? And I found Ood Sigma from Series 4, from the Series 4 range. Nice-ish figure, quite detailed, but completely useless in my sense. I really don't do new series figures that much, only Doctors and main monsters, and I'm never going to be using an Ood in any animation. If I do, I can buy them quite easily. They're quite common figures to get hold of. So I'd thought, ooh, I could use that, do a lot of work to it, and make it into an Ice Lord, and this is the result. I searched around for lots of images. I think I haven't actually seen the story, which is a bit odd, because most of the time I've seen the story when I make a custom, and it is it's just gone out of my head. That is rather annoying. So yes, it's the figure from that story with the things. So this is basically made out of Ood Sigma. The first thing I did to this figure was to chop his legs down, basically. He had very pointed, smart trousers that wouldn't look good. I didn't look like it was some plastic coated trousers, baggy trousers. So I got a knife and a chisel, and it took me, what, 2 days? Because the plastic's tough. And I just cut down, especially the lower leg, because I needed boots to fit on them, but also the point on these trousers here, and just chopped and chopped and chopped. So that was the first bit to that. The second bit to it was basically to mould. The first thing I moulded was the welly-like boots. They probably were wellies by the looks of them. Moulded them over the top of the thinned down legs. They took a while. I also moulded over the rather short shoes, short feet that Ood Sigma has, just so they look more like welly boots and less like slippers. I then took off the jacket, sort of the formal jacket thing that he wears, and found that underneath he was incredibly thin. He was not that thin in comparison, very thin, and moulded with this air drying clay, his sort of baggy shirt thing. I don't really know what to call it. It was, yeah, his costume. Really interesting costume, actually. And I put the folds in it, and even around the back under the cape there are some material-like folds, if you like, that I decided to add in. I then used the belt that was on the Ood Sigma, chopped off all the gubbins that was on the belt, and put it into the air drying clay while it's still wet or damp, yeah, then super glued it a little bit and added on this little circle, this goldish circle, to make the buckle of the belt, and let that dry. The next bit I did, I almost made my way up, was do the hands. These took ages. The main reason is their actual shape. You think it's simple, but when you've got some quite flimsy stuff, to use. It's incredibly difficult to get that exact shape. Of course I have this Ice Warrior here. Oh damn. And I use that as a guide. In an ideal world I would have bought another Ice Warrior and used the hands on that, but I couldn't. I then moulded it onto the shirt thing that he wears, that Ood Sigma wears, basically because making them be able to twist would have been impossible. The hands were actually almost chopped off for that. The almost final bit I did was mould the helmet and head. I'd chopped off the, now I'm going to say dangly bits because that's the only word that has come into my head. The tentacle-like things that drip down from the Ood's mouth. I chopped off them, chopped off the ears, almost chopped off the head, basically to flatten out the head ready for helmet sculpting. Sculpted the helmet round, used a lot of reference photos. It's not completely accurate, seeing as the actual helmet does tend to go out a bit and seems a bit more helmet-like, more sci-fi helmet rather than Saxon warrior helmet, but structurally on a small scale that was incredibly difficult to do, so this was the best I could do. I don't know whether you can make out, put little bumpy bits where his mouth is, just to make it look as though he's more reptilian. I also moulded a little mouth. So yes, I let all that dry, and while I was doing that I made a cape. This is just your average kind of shiny green plasticky material. I got two pieces, sewed them together. Ideally I would have had glitter, gone all Bristolian. I would have ideally had glitter material, but I couldn't get any, so just shiny had to do. I then sewed it into a sort of a fold over shape. It was two rectangular pieces, then cut down to size. It was almost square. The two outside bits were folded twice in a sort of a zigzag shape, sewed at the top, and that basically made the cape rather it sounds complicated, it wasn't. It was me just fiddling about looking at the way it was meant to hang. I then moulded his armour. I put the cape in, super glued it, moulded his armour round it, moulded it on his shoulders a bit. It should come out a bit like Sutek's, well, it's not really armour, it's probably just material, but sort of as though it's a sort of a giant collar. It should come out like that, but that was far too difficult to do, so it had to go on his shoulders and be separate bits. I then moulded in very carefully, pushed in rather than moulded out, which it should be, the pattern that he sort of has on his armour, and that was about it. The rest was all painting. If you're going to make this, I'd recommend you make it, except the cape and the armour, include the helmet, paint it all in the correct colour, so paint it a base colour of all green, then add in little brown streaks, can't really see them due to the camera quality, then add in yellowy green, which you can see on it, then attach the cape, sculpt the armour, paint the boots, the armour and the helmet all the same darker green. Make sure you've also painted the eyes red before you've done the dark green here, and just put a bit of the darker green on the hands so he looks a bit all musty and as though somebody's just flung paint at him. So yes, that's what I did. Just so that you don't get the cape covered in paint while you're doing the rest of the figure. You want no paint on this unless you've got glitter glue or something. That is another thing. If you can't get hold of shiny material, I'd recommend you get hold of an ordinary bit of green material, cover it in glue, then put glitter on it, and maybe glue over the top. PVA is probably quite good. Yeah, let's get Blue Peter. Yes, or you could maybe get glitter glue if you have that. If not, shiny green or glitter green material is what you need. I'm not very good on especially second Doctor stories, but I know this is the Monster of Peladon. It's suddenly come to me. Yes, so this is Ice Lord it's spelt Azaxyr, I think. I haven't actually seen the Monster of Peladon, so I don't know how it's exactly pronounced. But it looks pretty good with any third Doctor really. I happen to have this one. And I don't know about I don't know whether an Ice Lord ever appeared. The second Doctor stories. If you know, please post below. I'm working my way through Ice Warrior stories at the moment. Please post if you know that an Ice Lord did appear with the second Doctor. But anyway, it looks pretty nice with a second Doctor figure. Of course, it looks brilliant with an Ice Warrior figure. I intend to get another one, so they look nicer. So yes, that's Ice Lord Azaxyr for you. Yes, so I hope you've enjoyed this Christmas custom figure review. I have no other customs planned at the moment. I have yet still to get round to making a Romana. I'm actually now torn between Romana from Destiny and another episode. I think it's in obviously season 18. So I'm not that good on that. But I'm torn between those two stories to make from that. But getting base figures is a little bit costly at the moment, what with all the new classic releases. So hopefully I will have some more next year. But yes, this has been quite nice just to show you what I've been working on in the second half of 2011. As you can see, green and yellow are some favourite colours to be used by the BBC, probably because they look alien. Well, actually there's only one alien in this. So yes, I hope you had a good Christmas. I hope you enjoyed this review, and I hope you like the figures. Please post any views that you have on the figures, or if you know what colour Adric's shoes should be, and any alterations that I could just include. Please just post civilly, don't shout at me. It's very difficult to shout in words, but you do know when someone's shouting. Yes, so hope you had a good Christmas. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon, hopefully.